Welcome back, everybody. Our match of the day is about to begin. MnM Gaming versus Rogue, our Berlin champions. Face up against MnM, who were also in Berlin. True. And actually have been competing pretty decently, given the fact that 1 year ago, they were just being formed in order to compete in the final stages of what was then, I guess, still Yukin. And then on from the... Was it MPL then?
Why are you looking at me?
You're the guy.
You are literally Mr. Yukin. What was
yes,
it?
it would still be Yukin.
There you go.
They played Yukin with a far different
Challenger
roster.
League.
Yeah.
MPL only came about in April.
So they were Yukin back then. They were different rosters. Only 2 of the players that were on there, and then it switched up. Went to CL, and then they went, and now they're in EU League, and they went to Invitational, and they did this and that, and then they go up against the champions of Berlin. This is a matchup that I personally been waiting for quite a bit, and of course, all 3 of us, I guess, have been waiting for it. Very excited for it. Let's talk then about MnM and what the squad can offer here today. Demo, what are your thoughts?
It's going to be always a difficult game, I think, to predict how MnM's going to perform, because I think at the moment they're in a bit of a hot and cold situation where you don't really know what team you're going to get. Thankfully for MnM, I think they do come into this game not expected to win, which, as we know, is always a bonus for MnM. Whenever you actually... this is the issue, I think, at the Major. We thought MnM were going to, like, soar out of groups, perhaps, and as we've seen, it didn't happen. So we just need to stop saying this team's going to win.
MnM experience for me, the symptoms that a lot of teams in this league and a lot of teams in Siege experience, which is when they've got to work together with teamwork to clear and problem solve an objective, they tend to struggle, and therefore they then have a reliance on Solotov crouch walking, Tyrant crouch walking, Users crouch walking to save a round. We saw it even last week on Villa where Users just walked in sight, got a 4K because they couldn't work out how to clear certain problems. And that's not consistently reliable, and that's where they need to hit. They do show signs of being able to do that, and then other times they don't.
Well, what about this Rogue on the other side? Because, look, if we're looking at Rogue, there's a lot of expectations on what this team can offer. You need them at least at the Major, right? Which means they need to be in the top 4 here in Europe. They got a victory last Playday. You know, they went to overtime in day 1, which is, you know, still pretty good. That puts you high up in the standings. But this is potentially one of the top 4 teams you're going up against today.
And I'm actually going to run with that same narrative about problem solving. The reason that our top 4 teams generally are the top 4 teams, Rogue, Wolves, BDS, etc., is because they can problem solve. No. Snuck in. Let's not make it about G2. But Rogue's problem solving is absolutely excellent. Their teamwork at solving those problems is absolutely excellent. That front 3 of Krine, Kanto, and Spoit, supported by a really good backline of Leon and Deepak, is one thing that, you know, drives them on the attack in terms of problem solving.
Counterpoint.
Yes.
They didn't do that against Navi, though. Because the whole thing
Counterpoint, they had about 3 scrims.
The whole thing about Navi was whenever they went into that game, they were not ready for Spoit to be just disintegrated. Spoit was not in during those attacks. Navi did so well. We praised Navi about how they were one of the only teams who's actually been able to stop Spoit doing what he does.
Yeah, but...
And, you know, you talk about how good they're thinking on their feet. That proved that
we called it a pre-season game. They've warmed back up. Look at last week, where they come in. They absolutely rinsed TT9. They played very well.
That's TT9, though.
Yeah, that is TT9. It's probably the biggest test for Rogue is probably today.
If they do it today, if they come in and they beat MnM in a good 7-3, 7-4, then yeah, I think the first week was the blip. If not, then it does become much more of a worry.
Counterpoint, MnM lost to Outsiders.
True.
There you go. I'm just going to leave it there. Let's then talk about our map for the series. Best of 1, of course. 9-map pool, 8 are out. 1 is left, and Skyscraper will be taken out by MnM. Will be left with Oregon. They start off on the attacking side. All right. What does it look like?
Fairly standard bans, as you would expect. Both teams taking out the better maps for the other team. Rogue are known as one of the best bank and Skyscraper teams in the world.
All right.
Normally, I do the map preferences 1 to 9. Yeah. When 2 teams have the same map preference at like number 3 or 4, they usually end up on it. Both of these teams, Oregon's their number 4 preference.
Cool.
Yeah, I think Oregon's fairly middle of the road, isn't it? Both teams enjoy playing this map. We know MnM, a kind of historic map for what they did in Challenge League on it. Yep. Rogue, we've already seen them play against Navi, and this is where, is it going to be the blip, Jack? Because we're back to Oregon.
Match of the day, one thing I will say is both teams actually have positive attack win rates and defense win rates on it. Both teams are really good at this map. So it's like the perfect platform for the match of the day, for the whole scene setting of these 2 teams that have the similar ideologies, the similar ways of playing, really good front lines, really good back lines, on a map they both like, that they're both really good at.
Okay, then that perfectly sets it up. The excitement
It's
of
the
why
match of
this
the day.
is the match of the day. I know, right? It perfectly lines up with it. I'm very excited to see how it comes out. MnM, there's a lot of things that we have to look at and see. Can they make it to another major this year? That'd be massive for them. That would guarantee them an invitational. Same goes for Rogue, because even if you win a major, that's not enough if you're only doing one event and there's been a lot of changes and all. Today's gonna kind of anchor a few of the stories in our minds so we can prep it for the rest of the stage. Gentlemen, thanks so much. That's Rogue versus MnM. Our beautiful casters on the other side. Oh, wait, it's happening. Enjoy.
Thank you, Milosh, as we get right into the match of the day in just a couple of seconds. Oregon will be the battleground. Rogue, as mentioned, the reigning current champions, had a bit of an off start to the European League as they had like 2 or 3 days of preparation before they really got going. MnM, who have a lot to prove for, because I myself was not satisfied with the way they played during the major itself. There's a lot left to be seen from this lineup.
Yeah.
They kind of dropped off at the end of stage 2.
Do you know who else wasn't satisfied?
Who else wasn't satisfied?
Probably them themselves.
Yeah, no, I totally agree, but I'm just saying there's still a lot for them to improve on, and I really hope that we get to see a little bit of that now.
All right. MnM versus Rogue. Oh,
Momentarily.
momentarily. We'll be in properly. Get the bands down and locked in just a second, and then maybe we'll be able to tell you what they are. A tech issue. So we'll get this sorted. Not entirely sure what it is.
I think I heard mouse issue, but I'm not sure.
Back in game.
It's been solved.
There was an actual mouse.
Yeah. Wasn't like a peripheral?
No, it was
No, it was just an actual organic being, potentially.
zooping about.
Zooping about.
Having a zoop. She's not going to be having a zoop.
Amaruban. Don't see that often, and I can tell you a specific round on why Amaru would be banned against Rogue on Oregon. Something has to do with Biggie T or Deepak just zooping up to the top 3 tier 3 tower.
Well,
and
this is the fun
clearing it out.
thing, because obviously Deepak does play Amaru well, which is, you know, it's sort of, there's not a lot of Amaru players out there, but we've also seen Cryan pull aces off the back of Amaru. We've seen occasionally Spoit playing the role of the Amaru. It's not entirely out of line for them to pick it, so I think it's fair to remove them. Deepak is the most standard.
He just
Player.
eats himself in any window he can find.
Plays
Right?
it like
It's-
horizontally.
Even horizontally,
just
yeah.
vertically.
Just to shoot out a little bit further and surprise the player out there. It just takes away a little bit of the pace that Rogue would be able to bring on the attack. That is a second half, of course, not having to worry about this in the first 6.
MnM skins in the game now.
They are, yes.
They can have their player cards. Yeah, there's new skins in the game.
I love the L85. I actually bought
Great.
it.
There's been so many anime skins, but I'll go on record. MnM's is not an anime skin, you heathens out there. Dez. No, Dez was great on this as well, because he's the biggest weeb of us all.
Yeah, he definitely it's his title.
No, it's Journey to the West, I believe, is the...
I think that's the name as well, with a bunch of mascots on it.
Yeah.
And a bunch of marshmallows who haven't been Molotov
Which
yet.
is the traditional tail from
It is.
China. So, amazing skin. Also, all the others as well. I'm not going to list all of you because MnM are the ones in this game. They'll pop up at the bottom of the screen. But now it means MnM get player cards. Will that be a buff and a bonus? Also, we totally didn't accidentally show it a little bit early last week.
We do this every single time new skins come in. We show them like a week early.
You guys just imagining it. Everyone at home, you just imagined it. Spoit. What does he imagine? Hopefully a fight here, but it's actually Solosov that gets the opener. Cryan removed early off, whether he was rotating past the double door or not. He's definitely not anymore. Might have been second story? Yeah, it was.
I think so. Spawn peek attempt, shut down quickly. Or maybe trying to find himself in a corner and shut down that way. It's an entry kill nonetheless for the side of MnM. They'll be more than happy with that. And as drones are again leading ahead of Spoit here. They're getting some spots on enemy drones as well. So Information Game is currently the name of this game. And as Nalo is looking to find an angle on any of these players they know are out here. This turns out takes a little bit of damage on the other side.
Okay, Kanto, what support are you offering here on the side? They seem to have not fully sent themselves in for the hope of an engagement over here, but The Buck putting in a little bit of work, getting a bit of an angle. Are they going to pop it up at the right time? A bit early, but they've flooded and fled their way back towards the site itself. Wasted a lot of time, drew a lot of attention, but not a lot of utility was otherwise spent in terms of removing them apart from the Buck getting an angle. So MnM have played that pretty well. Now they can try and pinch some of this pressure on another drone. Does get caught out. I suppose if you're going to talk about utility, there is only 4 drones left for use across them, and well, that's almost as many as Rogue have.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely the Yucca drone going up, taking charge here. Seeing how currently busy the tower seems to be. Now, there is some drone traffic coming through, so Spoit might be going on a bit of a hunt there to take down those drones, deny the information from the attackers before he falls back.
3 drones and a fight that goes away from him. They trade out. Split and Solotov find each other's head. Oh, and that is those 2 gunners, I guess, that you really want to see hit heads throughout this. 45 seconds roughly on the clock, and well, now they might have as many cams as Rogue does. As the Echo drones have been able to get themselves tucked around the corner, they're starting to roll their way through. Flores, not quite for the utility in terms of visuals, but sure as destructive here. 30 seconds, and the push around Pillar starts to form.
Seems like we might see some drops happen soon. Users will find Deepak with a grenade. That's going to be a massive kill. Suddenly you have that Echo off the board. Those drones will not be moving in anymore as Leon will find one going aggressive with the SMG-11. Suddenly opens up a whole new avenue. This smoke canister could be huge as well, as Kanto will find the man on the top of these back stairs.
Kanto gets the stack up! Both of them swing around the corner, forced out of position by the smoke canister we said was going to be huge. They could not sit and try and hold the cover of the angle, and granted, they got to have it move, but Kanto, a triple kill on the back end of that. Dorms is where we're going to head to next, but I mean, that was an intense ending to a round.
Yeah, for sure. He managed to get the kill onto the back stairs, then continues on. Here's that smoke canister, knows the last two coming from the freezer, just lines them up and takes them down with a single spray. So, well done on that first round. Even though you lost the opening engagement there on the side of Rogue, very unfortunate. They managed to bring it back. They kept their composure. They used their Echo drones to find some information there where possible. And even though MnM, they fought back, some good grenade play that we've seen as well, it wasn't enough.
Well, that is a bit of a start to a game. MnM were close, knocking directly on the door of the site itself, and it's going to be one now where they're going to try and keep this intensity on the board. It was a couple of swings, a couple of big guns, and a huge round from the side of Kanto. But you saw a continued appearance from pretty much all the players of Rogue outside of Cry, who had a very early exit from the round itself. That is sometimes sort of do it all or unfortunately full habit. But here, Rogue, 1 up. A win here would throw them up towards second place because of BDS not getting the full 3 points in their earlier engagement today. So it's a massive moment for them, and the same could be said potentially of MnM. We saw the drop and the jump that could happen. I believe it would rocket them to maybe third place if they were able to get the win.
Yeah, everything is still really close together on the scoreboard now, of course, as it is only the third Playday that we're currently having upon us here. And Solotov is trying to get some information out with that drone. They are looking to deny it on the side of Rogue as well. The trick, however, is for MnM to try and capitalize on these drones because they do have some information. They have isolated some of these roamers, know exactly where they are. Need to be careful, though, as Solotov will find Kanto, another entry for him.
That's it, Solotov. He's making sure that he keeps pace here, removes Kanto, the man of the hour of the previous minute. Let's see if they can build behind it here. Steady attempt at catching with the intel. They can see Cryan's a little bit loose. He's finally making a bit of an appearance. Takes the drone out, and he'll probably think of that problem later. They have the rotation. They're going to use it. Solotov gets himself stacked up. Slightly different place, and is kept a little bit with some cover and control. The break above. They almost had a moment there, and there's a reveal. Potentially of a player all the way on the top. The drone set to watch the flank instead as the pressure comes under the site.
Verticality attempted here, was about to go in with the skeleton key. Now grenades are starting to come in from different operators as well. Solotov is still in that kitchen though, almost finds Deepak rotating over towards the attic. Needs to create himself some extra lines of sight now with that shotgun because there's no way he can rotate back. Another grenade is about to come up. Will not find anybody, just a little bit of damage onto Leon.
Now, a minute on, MnM, although they're doing a lot of this decent play vertically, the lateral movement needs to start happening. It's the creep, the rotation. He's not instead going to try and push Kitchen flat. He's concerned about all the watch, but he might have gone unwatched on the rotate underneath Cryin. If he can try and strike up the side of Freezer, well, I guess if you're an MnM fan, you're hoping they've got that watched as well. Around this time, the pressure started to come towards the site in the previous round as well. There's still a big watch and a bit of damage done underneath Deepak. He is playing on a sliver of health. This C4, though, just needs a second to communicate with the players on the other side. They've hopped in. They're going for the plant. There goes Deepak, dropped on the corner. The rotation up towards the side of White, but Neo's getting the plant in the meantime. Do they have an angle and a watch? It's Cryin up from underneath the spray, and the cover comes through the Izami and the spray, and there's a cold kit. Spoit gets himself tucked into the corner now in 15 seconds. Cryin goes down on the rotate, the 4 versus 2. Leon's holding off the White stairs side. Spoit is just tucked in the corner. He doesn't want to get blind, so he tries to swing in first. Leon has the cover and the support. He's on the back of the Lion. He's only got a couple of seconds.
Oh, no way.
He's keeping Spoit alive. Leon either side. There it is, Leon Kids.
The 2v4 clutch happening there, timing slowly ticking down. Spoit running in first of all. It is the lock-off on that door onto the White stairs with the keeper barrier. That locks out the line of sight. Sledge not able to move. You run in, you stop that plant, you hold it from afterwards. That was a round you should not have won, Rogue, but have managed to bring it back in the end and hold on to it tight. Now they're 2-0 in front on their defense. 2 scrappy rounds that somehow translate to wins. See if they can continue this, or if MnM is going to be able to finally put a nail into that coffin, because they are able to get the first kill. Then they managed to get quite good side control. I mean, it's a 2-on-4 situation. Just a shame the diffuser went down, and Leon perfectly on the rotation there. Able to swap side from side, constantly hitting them in the back.
Saving Private Spoit.
For sure. And 2-0.
I mean, 2 rounds and both of them have had exceptionally explosive ends. I'm sure if you're an MnM fan, you probably wish they would have gone the other way. But I think everybody else is just excited by the prospect of what this game can have, because you can only have explosive ends if both teams are putting up a bit of a fire. Still all to play for here. This, the tertiary site, finding ourselves down towards Kitchen with a swing round onto Meeting, and the stage side might be the one that starts to break the ice and put some pressure back in on the guns of MnM.
All right, now you just got to prevent these entry kills from getting away from you, Rogue, if you want to build on a momentum, because every single time so far, both these rounds, we've seen MnM being able to find an entry kill relatively uncontested. They just find someone through a wall as they're trying to rotate out or look to push in. Managed to stop that from happening. You're in a 5-on-5 fight. Suddenly it looks a lot more stable on your side.
Steady drones, steady roll, and steady attempt to grab the intel that was required of them before, but this time there seems to be a slightly sharper spark, and there it is, Kanto. He's able to find one, sprays towards Usus, and Cryin has the support structure to give him a second. There is that response they've been wanting to have towards this opening game. Tyrant's concerned about the approach that might come around from the White stairs, so pulls himself and tucks around onto the shower side. Ooh, bit of a risk from Leon, and it does not pay off, just huge gouts of damage. And there's Spoit putting a little bit further into MnM here. A 4 versus 2, a minute 42 still on the board. There is so much time here, and MnM's approach has entirely been dismantled.
Those double entries really helped out for Rogue here. And I said it, you find the entry, it starts to look a lot more stable on your side, not having to come back from a man or 2 deficit. And as MnM is looking to retake that top floor, they're slowly starting to fall back towards the site. You see the hop up there as well towards the hatch that's on the attic. You just saw this hatch on the kitchen to be dropped as well by one of the players. Tyrant now right above it. He could go for a drop. He does have a grenade as well. He can drop in first, but Neo finds a kill. Spoit taken out. There comes the aggressive drop. They might have heard that. That's the swing. That's the kill as well. Now only one left. Neo go for the drop themselves as well. Shut down by Kento. Again, a double kill from him, as he just shuts them down casually as they come in one by one.
Yeah, Nook can be very quiet, but not if you're falling from a hatch. That will create that audio. And it's one that Kanto was in a position to shut down. They decided that they'd try and just hit the site. They knew they had the body deficit. They maybe had an idea that somebody was further away, and I think this is definitely the right decision. Call the timeout. Yeah. The first 2 rounds were nail-bitingly close. That third one was Rogue starting to find their energy, and they cannot keep being built on that. As well, at the same time, MnM, they've got to try and pull themselves back round into it here. 3-0. Rogue have the lead in on Oregon.
And you can't say, oh, Rogue, you know, that they are all to credit for that victory. Yes, of course, they did manage to put those 2 victories on the board that were so close. But that's also MnM not playing it in harmony. They were giving these 1v1 fights. They were not pushing it as a team at the very same time, which allows Leon to go for swing by swing by swing, one by one, shooting them all down. I don't want to pull up the example, but there happened to be a 1v5 clutch against them twice in just a matter of 30 days, and one of them was a mission in the European League. So they need to make sure that if these things happen, they pull themselves back a little bit, they slow down that game, they focus on what needs to be focused on. And as Rogue is now 3-0 away, looking to find more. It is MnM, who've just had a little bit of a chat, now need to find the difference, need to find the change in the rounds themselves. And it's not like they've been absolutely dominated, because you said it before, the first 2 rounds should have been theirs. They should have been able to pick those up. The last one was only truly dominating from Rogue. They just need to close out that round. And of course it's difficult, but that is what they need to focus on.
A quick rehost.
A quick rehost.
If you haven't guessed from the giant graphic.
I like how Tyron is just looking at the rest of his team. Just a second ago, he swapped back to the game now. But
Just to remember the names.
yeah, see, he's just...
I do that all the time. Stein?
What? You trying to say a name?
No, you just missed the joke entirely.
Oh, sorry. What was the joke?
Well, it's too late now, but now you're being called the worst down the headset pipe.
I'm used to that. That's easy.
Rehost. A quick rehost will be called there. I believe a drone bug might have been the potential problem after the attack timeout either way. It gives a little bit more of a break, a little bit more time for them potentially to talk and thread some of this energy back in. It will be the same site. The defenders have to pick the same operators. The attackers do not.
Yes.
Because they could have changed anyway. Ha 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 ha.
Unless the repick was over and, you know, we were just in and we have
Unless,
one of those rare cases,
if you're in the
but
round.
Yeah.
If you're in
It was still prep phase, which means attackers can repick.
Yeah.
Defenders cannot.
Wah, wah.
Just waiting until everybody is back in so we can get going again. Momentarily.
Deepak's tweeting.
He's just sending Easy some love messages, I'm sure.
Sending them out. Saying, hey, man.
How you doing?
Nice. Maybe he's just checking photos.
Could be.
Taking photos of himself. It's sad.
He's sitting very still. This camera... No, okay, he's breathing.
He's breathing.
Okay, I was going to say, it's like it could be. This camera broke down, but not the case. So we're just waiting. Recap: first 2 rounds, very close. MnM should have won them. We can say that much about it. It was a 4v2 loss, and another one that came down to the edge of time and the smoke canister being at the right place at the right moment, with Leon and Kanto going both quite aggressively. The 3rd round, a lot more, well, dominating from Rogue, like we expect from the major champion, and now they look to continue that momentum. Of course, it's a very strong mental team nowadays.
I mean, you have to.
You have to if you win a major.
You have to, but you have to give credit as well for how the team's worked in it, because it's not always been players that we've seen have strong mental.
No, of course.
We have a lot of, you know, names that have been around the scene for the longest time. We have names that have been around the tier 1 scene for a short time, and names that have been around the entire comp scene for a short time as well. And you have very different dynamics on this roster of people that have, you know, been expected to lift the big trophy, been on teams that have, and teams that should have.
It's quite funny if you go past the names, because you have like Krine, who got like the big shot at G2, then kind of failed because he wasn't in the right role.
Because he wasn't in the right role, he wasn't in the right position.
Went back to Challenger League, played with Deepak, did amazing there, which got him picked back up towards European League. You have Leon Gids, who's been playing at like the top level for the longest of times, but never been able to reach that major trophy. You have Deepak, who played Challenger League for 6 seasons straight. You have Spoy, who literally just came in and wins a major on his first attempt. And you have Kanto, who's been a world champion. It's like you have so much different backgrounds. It's amazing to see.
You couldn't have written it.
Well, you can, but...
You can. You can write everything. I hate that saying. anything can be written. We write stories about super people.
We do.
Enough about that. Let's talk Siege. 30 seconds have passed, and MnM, if anything, they found themselves a slightly different tact here. They're not entirely in the building, trying to find a very early engagement. Last time, we usually saw Solotov going for a bit of a lead in here. He was sort of rooting around the site itself, and I think they've picked up that Rogue has picked up on that, so they're doing this instead. Letting the drones be that first step, give himself a little bit more. The fight slips away, doesn't quite have the full angle across the side of Trophy, but it's Tyrant that finds Spoit in the meantime. They laid a trap here on the back end, and oh, Kanto, is he thinking about putting a pressure on as Cryan sits in tier 3?
As long as they're around in that big tower, there's always that pressure and the opportunity for a late flank to arise. And it's not just Kanto that's currently on the stairs, but we also have a player up in tier 3, which has been hidden for now on. And as Kanto is trying to take a little bit of a fight onto Solotov, and we'll find it, that means that the player in tier 3 will continue to be hidden. So even if they kill Kanto right now, they'll never know about his presence.
Some attention is being paid now towards the back as they drop themselves down towards Pillar. They're trying to find a bit of a fresh route through. Kanto is causing trouble, but as long as he is there, their eyes might be slightly elsewhere. There's Cryan getting Tyrant from the top of T3. If they didn't know he was there before, they sure do now. And that is a bit of a blow here to MnM. They have been able to sort of focus themselves down towards the site, even when there's been other players against the multiple odds. They realize that it's a numbers game, and sometimes you got to count what is in front of you. Here they've run that, and they're not quite happy with the math, so instead they're going to see if they can try and take this engagement as a 2 versus 1. Cryan, how long are you going to stick around for? Long enough to lose both windows, either side of the play. There's the first. The grenade is able to be moved out of a bit of a late throw there on an impact. It didn't really impact anything at that point. Maybe a bit of a panic and a hope for a swing. There's another player. Cryan cannot quite get it, though. Nello gets the cement in. They lost 1 for the excursion, but they also lost about 40 seconds.
That's what I wanted to say. Really well played by Cryan there. He stayed hidden up onto the top, gets a first kill from the attic, then gets one that we're trying to repel up for him. But most importantly, they've wasted about a minute time with him being up there and 2 bodies. So that is definitely a very much profitable position to play in for the side of Rogue. Now it's only up to a 2v3, 15 seconds. They don't really have anything to go for here except for the door that opens up for the E1D to lead them in, but the smoke canister blinds them off completely. Leon will find the first. Kanto locks it off again, and that is going to be 4-0 for Rogue. They're looking to make this a quick one.
Yeah, very, very well played there. As I said before, it seemed like Rogue had sort of picked up that early game that was being run by MnM. They tried something else, and if anything, it just gave Rogue more time to play that early game. You know, you got to sort of try new things. They were 3 rounds down, and regardless of how close they were, you're still 3 rounds down. If you don't start to go for a different direction, you might just be, you know, definition of an insanitying yourself. 2 more chances for them to try and do some business here on this side. And to be fair, with the opening 2 games that we've had so far, we've sort of seen the first half be well handled and controlled by one team, and then it still gets close to, if not into, OT. So there is still a lot of time left in this game.
Well played by Cryan there, by the way. Heard the pin to be pulled out and went aggressive. Right thing to do, otherwise you just get caught by the grenade, so you better go for it. But to loop back on what you just said, again, game 2 house, right? Like, Rogue can be absolutely dominating now, but MnM can do the exact same thing when they go over to the defense. And again, absolutely dominating is not really what this is. 2 of the rounds should have been MnM's, haven't been able to pick that up. That kind of leaves them wondering right now, because if this does go to 6-0, well, it should have been a 4-2 split, if we're being fair about it. So, MnM, they kind of have to blame themselves a little bit here.
Solotov, the role of the Nuka operator who often sees a removal. Currently in this, and maybe Solotov's about to prove why. Finally pulled off the buck roll to see if they can try and cause a little bit more sneaky devastation. Hope to catch some of the players off guard. It's all locked though. There was a rotation that might have been spotted once upon a time, but since then, pulled off.
Rogue like to do this. They just push in these late reinforcements after something has been droned, when they abandon a position themselves, because they no longer need to be there. Just make sure that they need to work. Use some utility if they want to take that position. Snello is looking quite close. Leon, good to go aggressive. That's one RC gone. That's a drone after it as well. They really just want to clear out this position, but they can't if they're this aggressive.
They have the angles and options for swing. They've got some pressure that's coming in behind on the opposite side of Attic. It is a standard push. It's an approach they'll be well versed for. They do have a pocket reinforcement as well, but they're probably not going to be able to get that up onto a wall that's close otherwise. Here's the swing through, blinded. Leon takes a lot of damage, drops down, sprayed through on the soft. They're going for the retake, but Solotov had the cover across the bedroom itself. Spoit sort of threw his life away there in the vain hope there was only a single player, but MnM is playing a much more cautious game, controlled, and the pressure comes across the back end of Attic as well.
Multiple pressure points slowly starting to arise. Kento looking to go for a bit of a retake towards the walk-in closet, but not successful. Crying still on the roam. He needs to make that difference, and he needs to make it quickly. All Kento can do is hold on, finds the first, drops the diffuser. Deepak is quite close as well, playing with that shotgun. Can shut down anybody coming in from Trophy, but the true pressure is starting to arise slowly but steadily from the Attic. They need to pay attention to that. Currently, nobody watching it, and that is the big issue here.
Oh, Deepak, when do you swing? You don't really have too much as a direct support structure. The reveal of the camera is going to put a little bit of a problem in the second and sees the barrel of a gun, but the cover comes around on the back end. Solotov does the damage needed. Kanto, he's looking for a spray from the back line. Cryin has tried to rotate his way back up, loses the engagement here. Solotov, he's found a lot more success on the roll of the Nook. And one more out the door for him for the round. MnM find their first.
Well done by MnM there. Managed to spot out those weak points, get that double entry on the back of, well, that flashbang and opening engagement in games. And after that, shutting down the rotation that was meant to happen to go for a refrag there as well. And after that, they just played their numbers calmly, steadily. They go in from the Attic, they go in from Trophy. They try and push at the same time to ensure there's no 1v1 starting to occur. He saw that in that very last kill as well coming through. Yes, he gets the one onto the Trophy door. However, someone already all the way into the bedroom with a direct angle. As soon as you step out from behind that bunk bed, that was going to be the end of it. Unfortunate for Leon there. That is wall-banked through the couch. Now, that is... for a second, I thought that the shield was up on top of the boxes there, but it's just on the corner, so... That was a very, very interesting one, not the case. And now as we're playing on that middle floor, it is the meeting and kitchen that we'll see. So often a stage plant is attempted. Do not see the OSA operator who gets brought, of course, to accomplish that with those talent shields. Nope. Instead it will be more of a direct take, see if they can overwhelm Rogue.
Now Tyrant is going to play the role of the Nook. Solotov back on Buck, even with the 4K pulled in the previous round. It's changing up and see if they can get the drive through. One more opportunity here to put, I guess, the buffer a little bit more standard and familiar. Oregon can be a 3-3 kind of map, and it can be a good map for both these teams, but you know how ferocious Rogue are on their attack. You're trying to do as much damage to Rogue as a roster on their defense as possible. And a 5-1 could be absolutely devastating when it comes facing the wrong end of the barrels of their guns. So, MnM, the structure in the take starts over the side of Trophy. Dorms, they're looking for this control, and they find at least a loose player, but lose the Twitch drone in the exchange.
Solotov opens up a bit of an angle, so Tyrant can at least help put down some pressure over that top floor as well. As they start to push in, they really want to take control of it. Now, that Prisma being taken out is going to be a telltale sign that the push is coming up from that top floor. There's very limited ground that they're covering. Kento with a beautiful pick onto Solotov. We'll be shutting him down from the Trophy side. That's one less player to worry about. Also a player who has been quite on point throughout the match so far. Oh, Tyrant is inside!
Tyrant, the Nook, slips right inside, gets a freebie on Deepak, locked into the cameras. Obviously, that's a big grand reveal. Neo's now there for support. Nello comes in with a kit as well. They're sort of saying, it's ours, lads. Let's make the most of it. Leon, he's going for the rotate here, but there's a player coming up around the back stairs. The pistol from range. He's about to be pressured from Tyrant behind him as well. Do they know? They don't know. It's a scrappy engagement, but it's Tyrant's under the blind of the Charismod Kanto. His second for the round. Spoit going for the retake here onto the side of Split. There's one to the right and a rotate behind him. The kit is currently uncovered. It's a fight in the middle of the site, and the stage is almost the second for him, but he might tuck. See if he can get it tailed to the end. Tyrant, he's going for the swing. Spoit gets it. Spoit gets it! Spoit either side. One on Split. They've got to find the kit. It was where you started, lad. At least he can find bodies. if he can't find the kit itself. Rogue, 5 rounds.
Well played by MnM, first of all. They saw the opportunity. They just doubled down to try and get it under control. And they almost managed to have it. It's just those last couple of players of Rogue who managed to bring it back yet again. And 1-5 is the split that Rogue will end their half on. MnM now over to the defense. Can you make the difference here? Basement first. Start strong. Do not have your tactical timeout anymore. You've already called that. So they basically have to go 5 rounds in a row now, find themselves on 6, then see if they can go for a 7th, or if overtime will be what will happen in this game. The match of the day, where Rogue is leading, yes, but MnM should have been, well, I dare to say 3-3, maybe even 4-2 right now up against Rogue. But it's just the clutch potential that these players have and the slight mis-synchronies that we see within MnM that allow Rogue to exploit those weaknesses that allow them to be where they are right now.
Leon on a blitz with the kit. I'm assuming there's going to be something pacey here around blue. That's usually where we'll see that sort of play, but that's going to be something that slows it right down. We have also obviously seen a blitz go for a bit of a charge onto the side of potentially Freezer. It really depends how confident they're feeling. To be fair, Rogue, they're probably pretty confident. Break into the top window. The reveal of a player around tower.
Gonna quickly get that drone out. See if they can spot out users. There should be a spot. Oh, user just gone unspotted here. He might be going for a bit of aggression. No, decides to stay. He's quite close to it, though. Neo just took out that drone. Spoit, have you checked the staircase? He seems to be holding off for it for now. He wants to go aggressive, takes out the camera, and then bails. Doesn't want to risk it here. Knows he didn't check it. It's not safe enough for him to do so. And as the rotation comes back, it's some of the MnM players going down towards the basement. Tyrant still aggressive, waiting on that door. Looking to find a fight onto Spoit, but as soon as he pulls up, that's actually when the swing comes through, and now has been spotted out by that drone, so Spoit has the ID of where he is.
Can they get the catch? That's the big ask right now. MnM, they've opted to pull and keel themselves back towards the site. Rogue spent a bit of time chasing and clearing out Ghost, but they are a team that when they want to impact the site, they can do it with a lot of pace here. Still looking for that clarity, Spoit. Not looking for a freebie, but maybe a gift would be nice.
An opportunity he's always looking for. Leon, in the meantime, is coming down as well. Hatches will be opened up. The Blitz is going to be trying to provide some pace once they do have the opening they're looking for. At least be a bit of a scare factor. Leon's still rotating around. They haven't decided on where to go yet. A minute left on that clock, but as the blue doorway has not been opened up yet, I guess, that is going to be causing some fire. That's going to be slowing them down. If they want to go aggressive right here, and they've spotted out a player, that's going to be popping off. That is going to be 15 seconds. They need to wait now.
That's it. There was a player that was holding a cheeky angle. Spoit had the reactions to start shooting towards where a couple of pellets came towards him, but at that point they'd moved off. Nello on the back line with the long angle and a camera to offer him some support. They're concerned about somebody playing around to Pillar. They want to push that location in 30 seconds. A push is going to have to come to a shove very soon. Here it comes. The Blitz down in the corridor, gets in front of the smoke, tries to spray it, draws the focus, but Neo and Tyrant get one apiece. They're losing massively against Tyrant on the side of Pillar. It's suddenly just there, a spray and a knockdown, but they don't quite get picked up the pieces. Just Spoit left. A technical 4 versus 1. They should have the time to get up Solotov if they wanted to. But at this point, they're just going to hold out for the engagement. Neo wins it out. MnM locked down Pillar.
The Pillar being the crucial factor there, as you said. Diffuser dropped there, losing the men all around it. And then that Blitz, well, it was slowed down before. They knew a rush was coming through of some kind because they did come there very late. They opened it up and, well, suddenly they are stuck there. They need to wait. There was no time left anymore to rotate around and alternate your plans. So they kind of had to stuck with it. As the smoke canister slowed them down, not quite enough. But eventually still that win because the gunfights that happen elsewhere. And that brings it to 2-5. 1 round in, 3 more to go to equalize, 4 more to find yourself a point for MnM. They'll be looking at this game round by round now. They're not going to be looking at the bigger picture, I think. Because all they can really do is take this round by round and improve where they can. There's no more tactical timeout. There's no more talking to your coach unless Rogue calls a tactical timeout. But this is what they have. A 2-5 scoreline and a couple of rounds in defense to see if they can make the difference.
A good lead-in.
It is a good lead-in.
It's a good lead in there for MnM. They played against the space well. Said they pulled themselves back. They knew the space that they wanted to give over, and then they knew when they wanted to go for the retake. All the pressure started to hit them, and they wanted to hit them first. Rogue. It's the first sight, though. It's the first taste and test of it. They've pulled themselves around. No blitz this time, but they do have the Nook, who I talked about before. They have Leon on that controlling operator. They've got to try and find a little bit of a spark. Kanto and Spoit, so far, the two guns that keep firing. But Leon did obviously have that huge round before the rehost.
He did. And they hope to find more of that.
Yes, he did.
He did, yeah. I'm not denying it. Sporting quite quickly here in Dining is looking to find any cameras, as there is, well, some spots around, but it's not really in the room he's looking for. So they're aware of his presence, they're aware that he's coming through, and maybe we'll even see a bit of an aggressive swing from Tyrant, who's waiting for him. He'll find the headshot as well. Takes him down.
Tyrant, he is having a huge game since the rehost. He's really stepped up into this role so far. We've obviously had big moments from Solotov throughout this as well, but the more and more MnM start to really bite into this, the fight might explode. Crying around on the side of stage, looks towards the spray, led in by a drone. Hopes to get something through this, the soft, whilst being not revealed. Popped on the drone. Is there a player as the follow-up? No, so it's going to come to something potentially scrappy. Tyrant's pulled himself to a little bit more safety and then back out of it. As the danger swings around, he's stepped up closer and closer to the door here. Rogue is still weighing up options. Do they know how close he is? I don't think they do.
They definitely don't, and that's going to be a punch hole. Might lead to a third kill of Tyrant. But Crying escapes with his life, has to go for a different avenue. Well, that door is still closed. You're definitely going to be giving away your presence now. You know, and they know you're pushing in, as users will find Leon. Rogue's just falling apart here on their attacks, not able to find any connection whatsoever.
Yeah, they really haven't had a bite of this at all. MnM has just driven the pace over these 2 rounds. Crying now in an entirely new position and gets the first out of it. A good strike with a minute on. They're going to redouble the efforts and reconvene. The kit's cold on the far side of the double window. They've got a lot of picking up work to do if they want to go and pick it up. They're trying to get themselves set up for a split push. They think somebody's tucked behind there, but that's old intel, old news, and cold grenade.
That might have just been a bit of a guess. It's not an odd position to play in, especially if you have that diffuser down in the double window area. 30 seconds. They need to find a way through, and it seems like the white stairs might be the choice that Rogue wished to go for. Deepak just holding the angle for now until Crying can clear with his face. Sure that no one can escape. Now they know it's clear. 16 seconds left. There's nothing left for them except for running upstairs.
I mean, that's it. They get one out of the trouble. The call on the player's there, but, well, there's the worst thing you want to see. Deepak has to charge through it. No other option. The grenade up at least gets one on the way out the door, but that fire is going to last right until the end of the round. Another one for MnM. 5-3. They pull them back one at a time.
They definitely are. Slowly starting to get back into that game, and we said it before, it's a game of 2 halves. Rogue can be leading massively and comfortably right now, but as soon as the sides swap, that could just change in a matter of 2 or 3 rounds. And as MnM has been able to find those 2, as of yet, needing only 2 more to equalize that scoreline. Meeting in Kitchen up next. The tertiary side. Now this is where Rogue should be able to perform, should be able to get a win out if they want to find a victory here against MnM. And see it on the right hand side. For now the Ossa is being repicked in on the side of Deepak, so they look to go for, once this rehost is complete, a stage plant.
They're doing the play you talked about.
Indeed. Well, we don't know yet. We do not know yet, but they're definitely going for the operators that are necessary for such play.
Yeah, they would pull it together. You kind of need, for an Ossa play, you kind of need her.
Yeah,
She
that's
adds
true.
to an Ossa play, you would say.
Yeah, I mean, I would say it is actually a defining factor.
You
of an
would
Ossa
say,
play.
yeah, it's a very fair breakdown. We'll hopefully be back in but a moment. 3-5. And, yeah, we'll see if, I guess, MnM, if they can pull this within 1 round, you know, a perfect rotation of 3 sites. You have to look as well at the 2 rounds that we've seen. The hold underneath was never truly tested, I think, around the side of Laundry. So Leon got in a last-ditch 10-second thing as the roll of the Blitz. But you saw where MnM was moving. You saw where they locked themselves down around Pillar and how slow it was for Rogue to get to that level anyway. That second round there, again, all the bodies that generally fell was far away from sight. And that's sort of the game that MnM has played very well here. They've had 2 solid holds on that site.
If you look at that first round, it took too long before the rush got going. They got the pressure and the scare factor on blue, but the majority of the guns of MnM were watching the hatch top, were watching the main stairs, where the kick came down from and 3 other players of Rogue, which were all shut down without really any answers. So it's great you have a blitz then in blue, but what's he going to be doing from there on if you don't have any other players to back you up? And that second round is just a single player in the kitchen that they're unable to deal with, and that's due to the fact that it was a good information game on MnM. It has to be said, like Valkyrie cameras all up around, allowing them to feed that information through, allowing them to figure out where Spoit is going to be coming from. And yes, of course, you are playing a bit of a dangerous and aggressive angle in that case, but Spoit didn't expect someone to be in that kitchen. You get taken out like that. And after that, every single one of Rogue's members are trying to get rid of that one player. You waste a lot of time, you take even more losses, and you just, in the end, come out with nothing.
Hopefully back in soon. We'll keep an eye out, keep an ear out for all the fun facts related to this. MnM. I mean, we've already highlighted the importance of how much these points matter, how early on it sort of is, but compare the runs of these 2 teams. Hey, Hap, when were they confirmed for the major?
I think Rogue, the major, that was, well, for MnM.
For MnM, was on the very last day, correct?
Like the very last round they played.
For Rogue?
I believe that was a bit earlier. They managed to...
I believe it was the Playday before.
Yeah, they managed to secure themselves before that. Had a little bit less stress in that last.
2 of our major teams here, 2 of our major teams from Berlin, were only confirmed within the last 2 Playdays, 1 apiece, 4 positions where obviously Rogue went on to win it. But that shows the importance of a game like this, where if you're not putting the points down now, we know how an EU end of season happens. Ask Heroic how an end of EU season goes. Usually not very well.
I mean, you can ask MnM as well. They were on course to be qualified as one of the first teams in the European League, and they fell off. And then they had one game where they needed only 6 rounds, and then they had a second game where they only needed 6 rounds, and they literally managed to do it when it was 6-5, get that final win in for OT, realize, okay, we're safe now. Lost the game afterwards, but that's okay. They qualified. But that could have just as well gone the other way. They could have just as well missed out themselves as well if that last round that they needed to win did not go their way. Rogue. You want to get these points. You are the major champion. But that also means you have a target on your back. Everybody will be looking towards you. Everybody is looking to beat you, to take points from you. And that is quite a bit of pressure. I mean, it's often said that staying at the top is harder than it is to get there.
It is. So I was doing the thing that you did earlier, where you did the yes?
Yes, and then not speak.
Yeah.
So, no, that's fine.
No, I wanted you to respond. Oh well, here's a response that comes through from Cryin. Quick play of the Nook. We sort of saw the many options and the routes they almost took on the previous round, and this time round, well, they're going to see if they can go a little bit more direct to the site itself. Spoit has the lead in, or the site to the fight even. Spoit has the lead in. He had an idea of wanting to push up quickly here. There's a pace that we've talked about on Rogue's attack that can be applied magnificently, but has been slowed and sort of scarpered by this lockdown from MnM.
Now, they have changed the eventual push they wanted to go for, because we saw a repick that was looking towards an Ossa. Not on the board now, though. Of course, they're allowed to do so because prep phase not done yet. They could still go for repicks. As Cryin is looking to push up here, spots out of players, unable to actually commit to it as he was already on his way back out the door. And thus he decides that he probably needs to evacuate. They know where he is. He was unable to land any shots. Now they just need to find a different way in.
Holding off and steadying the approach that's coming across them. They know the importance of this round, as I said before. If it's something that goes away from them, they're just getting the last step of that so they can sort of scream the way in towards the site and the plant without having to go for a hop and making what is a dangerous swing even worse. Tyrant, he's doing his best to hold them off. And he almost gets the back end of a rotating off player, the slowed approach towards the breach, trying to keep this continued pressure he's applied before. They're well aware of where he is, and Leon wants to be that surprise strike right tucked up close. Kanto rotating.
Maybe for a grenade to toss it up from above, but oh, there they go aggressively. Tyrant and Solotov both pick up a kill, and that is definitely going to be taking the heat out of the attack of Rogue. Spoit and Crying, though, still looking to take this top floor into their own hands. Spoit will find one, but the pings are coming through. That's a slow crawl as well. It's only up to Crying now. He gets shut down after an extra kill, and it's MnM that will find themselves with yet another round. Only one away now from equalizing the score with Rogue.
A prone peak. I mean, it's as dangerous as we just saw.
It's so slow.
It's so slow, and you have such a big reveal on the player before they have any idea of you. And at this point against this roster, you know it's a snappy aiming game. It's a game of pace. It's a game of quick attribution of information towards getting your cursor over them and getting the kill. And a prone peak is usually a recipe for exactly that.
I mean, your shoulders come in, and then like about half a second later, you start seeing the head and the gun coming through. So you have plenty of time to prepare for that player to instantly shut them down and not give them any opportunity of escaping.
You could boil an egg in the time it takes.
Almost, yes. It takes a long time before you have that peak going through, and it's rarely successful. But Rogue, they wanted to take that bedroom under control so they could actually go in for a blend. Because the issue they had is, well, we've opened up this wall now, but a hatch above it is opened up. There is a player inside that kitchen. And of course, as soon as we take out that player, we can take that kitchen. But then they're still up above us, having verticality, able to shoot down upon us. So they needed to get them cleared out. Kanto looked to do that from the window, get some grenades in potentially, but was shut down before he was successful, leaving it only up to Spoit and Crying to try and do it laterally, but also shut down one by one. That leaves us in this current position. A tactical timeout called by Rogue. They just had 45 seconds to discuss because, well, they definitely do not have the same pace, momentum anymore as they had throughout the first half.
I mean, it's sort of been a bit devastating here on the side of Rogue. Their defense was so well put together, and they've lost a lot of that energy, a lot of that spark. When we think back of all the gunfights they were able to lock out, and sure, a couple of the rounds were big guns popping off and clutching out rounds, but those big guns have kind of disappeared a bit here. MnM, for a large part of their attacks, although they came in on the back end of a 5-1, were close. They were clutches that went away from them. They got the plant that went away from them. Here, they have entirely sort of kept that energy up, and they have the success of forcing time to be in the pockets of Rogue. We're still looking for that first route in, that first little reward against an MnM defense.
They need it desperately for those points, because every point you pick up now is one you don't have to worry about anymore later down this stage, and it's bringing you closer towards qualification. I said it before, 15 is what you're looking at. What we said last stage. Putting up this victory now for Rogue, we'll put them on like 6 or 7, something like that. So that's halfway there already. As MnM, of course, they are looking to find those points themselves as well. This grenade could be devastating. No, the ADS will catch it. The second one to follow potentially. No, Spoit on his drone, not wanting to commit to it, and that means that ADS will recharge.
Leon trying to find the pressure onto Freezer, but it's caught out by the claw. Nello just had that game one step ahead, and those Kairos will not pop off, and now they've got a bigger problem to try and rotate their way around onto. There's the roll and the catch of an EMP. The second set will get this popped off. It's not in a position to get it stacked up for the follow. It will stay dead for the whole time, and that's now an open hole.
Tried to use the EMP dart that is in the bulletproof camera, unable to connect eventually. And this is going to be catching 4 more Xkaros, I think. Oh no, just not. Nello needs to start tricking this now. There needs to be a second EMP, because otherwise it's definitely going to be catching it. There you have it. Is it in time? No, it's not in time. The timing is off.
Timing's off. Now only 2 left. to open up that what is just a sight, not a drop. And we think of where the push tried to come through from last time. And here, Rogue, the wheels have started to wobble a little bit and start to come off a little bit more. Spoit held at bay. Another grenade to pop it round this corner. Will it get caught by an ADS? Burnt out. That one does the damage towards the shield and itself. Solotov still has the option to tuck away if he thinks he's got to take it now. Is 30 seconds. The pressure round onto the back of Pillar, where there was a bit of a massacre in the previous attempt here. You've got Deepak on the far side as well. There's a little bit of a stretch. 2 and a 2 instead of the solo pressure. Spoit suffers on the back end of it. Deepak's inside Laundry, putting pressure on the far end. There's the attention port. Spoit gets one. Cannot find the second. Tyrant and Spoit finally gets the end of it on the swing round, but we're looking at 10 seconds. Leon's got to hot foot it with the kit itself. There is still a C4 in the pocket of Nello to play onto default. There's Usus gone. There's Solotov with the shotgun. There's a cold kit on the far side. They got themselves into sight. Tucked, but nowhere to go. A team kill was the bad end of a sentence, and we are all tied up.
Devastating for Rogue there. They needed to make that last-ditch effort after so many Excaras have been tricked out by the Electroclaw. A bit of mismatching, missynchrony again on the EMPs, allowing that to happen. And as a result of it, they didn't have every single angle they wanted to have, being able to go for the execute in the end. That puts us up to 5-5 now. MnM being one away from stealing points from Rogue, potentially taking out a full victory here. And you saw it, Rogue, who could have been second if they locked this off at a 7-5 or 7-4. If they lose this game or don't take points at all, they might go down to either 5th or 6th in the league. And that's not a position they would like to be in after Playday 3, not after what they did in Berlin. They want to qualify for the November major as well, as does MnM, fair enough. But it's that weird drop-off that we have been seeing the entire day so far, where one team is deeply in charge throughout the majority of the first half and then just is unable to translate any of that over towards the second, and you see the complete reverse. And this is why we say it is always a game of two halves. And it's not a throw by any means that we're seeing. It is just that the defense seems to be favoring either of these two teams so far. Oh, is that blocking off the staircase? Can they now no longer climb it?
I don't know. I haven't.
That's why I'm asking it.
I mean, it makes the angle shooting up a bit trickier.
Yeah, that's true.
But I don't know why you'd ever really want to stop the movement. It's not like you need to.
No, it's not like they're going to climb up on you.
It's not the intention. I assume the intention's the angle. But here, Tyrant is going to see if he can hold off, watching towards Armory Stairs all the way from the top ropes. How unaware is Spoit this calls of those keeper barriers. So they know at least she was around the area.
That's a Mujum will stop the RC Rotero, so that's not going to be moving up any further for now.
Spoit did suffer from the far window.
They definitely seem to be aware indeed. Like they're looking forward and also took that damage, so. The question is, though, how much effort are you going to be putting in on clearing that member? You could have actually picked up a free kill here as Tyrant moved through. You might still have the opportunity to as the reinforce comes in. Solotov with the kill, and Leon is going to be shutting that one back.
They lose the Flores, yeah. He's off the board. Usus is still playing around here on the wrong side of the locked door, but they're going for the clear now. They've droned out T3. They know that's clear. There's a fight here underneath, and it's Usus to take. The C4 doesn't quite get the true connection, so Deepak lives, but that was almost a massive 2K here for the side of MnM. Spoit, he's trying to apply some pressure here. He's got the grenades to potentially bounce over the top towards Pit. Deepak on the far side wants to get the opener as well, the stretch and the width of the team. There it is, the player behind Tyrant. He's going to be under a bout of pressure, so tucks himself in, but isn't going to hand it over entirely. Hopes that he can get a tricky swing out here. Hopes that his position is one that doesn't go fully contested. There it is. Tyrant hops up, drops Deepak a 5 versus 2.
It's Definitely going to be making it a lot more tricky for Rogue here. It is going to be the first one from Spoit, though. Bringing it back to a 4-on-2. We've seen them win these, but usually on that defense. So it needs to be a completely different ball game here as Kanto looking to knock up on that front door, but no one is showing themselves. MnM have definitely learned from their past games, but as Tyrant finds one, it is going to be the lockup from him as well as he finds the second. MnM match point now, only needing a single round more to find themselves with 3 points against Rogue.
I said it at the beginning. We've seen 5-1s go almost to OT before. And if Rogue want any success out of this, they've got to hope that that's true. Even though they're in that position with so much control, MnM have kept a steady pace from the start, if only improving it as the game has furthered itself here.
Their attacks have just not been connecting, and I'm not going to say it's the Amaru ban because it isn't. That's not the reason why they're losing this. It just seems out of sync. Something just not snap for Rogue. Basically the same of what we've seen from MnM, how they lost those rounds that should have been won. Like something is just not clicking right now. It's just all out of synchrony. And they really need to try and fix that now for a final stand on the attack against MnM's tertiary site. Otherwise, MnM will go flawless this half and find themselves with 3 points. Still wondering whether we'll put them up onto the final scoreboard leaderboard end of the day. And as we head, again, the top floor heavily invested in by MnM. We saw last time around, Rogue, they wanted to deal with that, couldn't quite do so. As again, they've chosen to not go for also, which means that the kitchen is going to be the majority or main point of attack that they would like to go for. See if they can get a plan down right underneath that hatch, but that requires that top floor control, and that is what they have been struggling with.
Okay, now Rogue, whatever you've got left, it's the time to bring it. Kanto, he had a really big opening half to this game, and since then, since this rehost especially, has been quieter and quieter as it's found itself further and further along there, holding on to trophy. Neo's looking for an engagement, has all the support structure of the shield, of the push and the pressure. There might be a bit of a long arm grenade here, so he wants to be the first impact towards it, sprays and pre-fires, but nobody caught. So instead pulls back.
So yeah, find themselves a little bit deeper up onto that top floor because they know Rogue would like to take control of that. They need it if they want to go for that plant. So as long as they stay passive there, Rogue needs to make the first move, and that is how you force them into making these mistakes. That's how you force them into yielding these opening kills towards you. Kanto looking to be the first to take an engagement here. If it's not for Solotov looking to find an aggressive angle into the bedroom himself.
Oh, Solotov, he's holding and hoping. He does a scratch bit of damage. Spoit suffers on the approach inside. Walk in, there it is. It's all across the board, but Spoit stands, well, for a second victorious. There it is, Spoit. He gets a triple and is doing everything to keep Rogue in this fight as it goes on. Tyrant and Nello, they're all that stands here between Rogue and anything from this game. They've both got themselves structured and supported here underneath. Spoit seems to be that big problem. Kanto and Deepak haven't been able to find anything since the rehost in the most previous 3 rounds. So now's their time to really shine as Tyrant goes for a risky rotate round on the back, wants to punish them. If he is unchecked here, this could set the pace.
They don't know. They're not watching it. They're all just opening up the flooring right here, setting themselves up to go for a final execute. Tyrant being up above, that is crucial. It's only one member left on that top floor. It is Kanto. If they do manage to find him, suddenly that top floor falls, and he is going to be walking right into it, but he's shot a bit prematurely, gets shot down. Kanto finds the kill, leaves it only up to Nello. In a 1v3 and 25 seconds left on that clock. He just needs to be patient now. Has another smoke canister to use, but they're starting to come through. Deepak is knocking on that front door, looking to find a way in as his teammates out there. Smoke canister pops, a little bit of damage done. That's an angle to be shot, but Nello will not connect. It's Rogue that will find themselves to go to OT.
Only just over the line. Maybe that Tyrant engagement goes a slightly different way. Maybe Kanto decided that day to push further into the bedroom and instead pulled back into kids' dorms. It was I mean, one engagement, but to be fair, it was only one round for each of the two teams on their attack. So if you're MnM right now, you're potentially feeling a little bit happy that you got the coin flip onto the lead-in, onto your defenses. Sure, Rogue, you've taken your most recent, but that was their third site choice. That was a site that otherwise you might have been able to put some damage in. Now you got to see if you can try and replicate it on one where you couldn't even really get the utility functioning at the same rate.
And again, is that third side that would have gone MnM's way if Kanto decided to commit going through the door rather than be like, oh, I still need to open up that flooring out there, and heading back, saving his life, not knowing so.
Yeah, I just said that.
Yeah, I know you said that, but it's like it's like that one round,
Yeah,
should have gone the other way.
the
But
butterfly effect.
we're going back to round 1 and 2, Emmy. The ones that MnM should have won as well. Yeah, when they were on their attack 4-2, couldn't get the clutch out because they were pushing in, not in synchrony, 1 by 1. It's been the telltale of any attack we've seen so far here in Oregon today.
What's your different laundry? That's the approach that we need to have here from the guns of Rogue. For a team that is often quite driven and well put together with their utility, it's been a little bit mishmash and hodgepodge at points. The pressure comes around onto tower. Usus is playing onto the stairs itself, but Spoit, I mean, if there is a gun from Rogue that hasn't been faulty, it's definitely his, and he might be the first engagement they find.
Definitely a big factor of keeping them in. Tyrande sees the shadow coming, knows it, but is not quick enough. Spoit will find it. That's an entry, and that is huge, especially on the fact that, well, MnM, they are playing on the primary side, they are playing on the defense, they kind of need to win this if they want to take the 2 points. Oh, great C4.
Yep, there it is. Kanto removed off the board. Nello was sort of playing in wait and took the hatch drop as a route out of there. They usually locked that hatch, and this time they've revealed why it was open. A great response towards the early body gone, but it's also Tyrant off the board, who has been a tour de force for the team. We're now going to see if the other guns of MnM can try and find that position that was his, that was so frequently causing problems for the approach of Rogue, which has slowed once again. The sledge, you know, he might have been able to do a lot of work there on the top floor to clear the middle, but in terms of the actual push onto the site itself, he's got a lot more limitations outside of the grenades that are probably going to be sorely missed.
I was going to say the grenades is basically the only thing that he can use to toss down a hatch, maybe get rid of a shield, Solotov's position, for example, but those are gone. 2 more left in different pockets, though. Spoit carrying them. And as he's knocking on the doors here together with Leon, hoping to find Elbow under their control. This Crying Out wants to descend the staircase to get a D-back. Now, this has gone wrong many, many times before today. They do have a man advantage. They need to make the most out of that. Oh, no longer. Quick try and use for the reaching charge. Grind takes a bit of damage. So rotate up the stairs. Doesn't quite see that. Neo finds the kill. Goes back. Right behind the pillar. Finds himself in safety. Now we can actually provide some support towards the elbow.
And there it is, swung right round. Solotov caught out in the mix of it, but at least Usus is there to stop Spoit. Leon, he keeps the balance slightly balanced, but it's a 2 versus 2. Nello, he went for an aggressive retake of there, hoped that there would be somebody else swinging around the side of Elbow, but they're both round onto the default site. They're going to see if they can try and get the plant in. Are they going to hold on the cover? It's a technical 2 versus 1. The spray fire doesn't quite fully connect. It does at the very end. There's Leon, though. Pops up round the corner. There's Nello. And the team captain just clings on to the defensive round. Tests a crouch key.
You gotta make sure it works. You never know.
You know,
you might need it in the next round. Oh, now the observer's joining as well.
I don't know who to...
It is easy.
The thing is, that fight between Croatian and Netherlands is like our 2 observers fighting as well.
Yeah, very true. So it's just Stefan giving it back for deep back there. Just,
If
keep the scores equal.
If the observer teabags on you, is that the end of the argument? Because you can't.
You can't teabag the observer, can you?
The players cannot teabag an observer.
No.
So that was easy standing up for a
Yeah.
DPEC there, I think.
I think so as well.
Okay. It was the closest Rogue has been towards attacking that site. Now they'll see if they can lock it off, where they've been pretty good at that throughout their run previously. Dorms if you have forgotten, was the site, those at home, that they lost on their defense. So it's a very important round for them here to keep it in. If MnM can try and keep some momentum, keep some pressure, it's come close. But close doesn't put marks at the top middle of your screen. Only success tells the story.
Well, especially the first round Rogue played here was quite close as well. That does prove for an opportunity for MnM if they manage to play off this well. I do see a Ying on the board, which means Candelas can be used. So we might see some quick pace later down the line. As soon as they've opened up what they need to open up, and I think they are spread out as a reason to do so. Quickly open up like some barricades, some hatches. Make sure you have some basic control because there is 2 players up on the top floor from Rogue. Both Kento and Cryin roaming around. You might want to catch those, but maybe you also see this as an opportunity to just go straight for the site. It's not the first time we would see it today.
It's not. And it could be that sharp difference here. MnM, they have set themselves up with some steady approaches before they have a close Cryin here. Do they know? There's a drone rollout. They're baiting it, and there was the bait caught easily. I mean, Cryin, he played a risk there. You always know it's going to be one. You sort of wait, you angle, and you hope, but the first body has gone away from them. It happened on the previous round, though, and it still ended up in MnM's favor. So Rogue has plenty they can work behind, and there's a perfect lead in the dual team, Kanto and Deepek.
Solotov trying to go for the Echo Drone there as it all proceeded to go up towards the ceiling. Leon will find users. That's a more important kill as well. Because now finally Rogue will have a man advantage. Tyrando changes that, takes down Spoid, who was looking to find himself in a bit of a more aggressive position where he could strike down as soon as they do start to descend these staircases in a bit of a flanking maneuver. And that leaves a net 3-on-3. Still some of these hot pockets or Goyo canisters up that will start and put up a fire wherever the push is coming from. And while there's also still a Yokai drone, maybe even 2 left on the board. So even though the timing says a minute, it could be less than that once you take all that utility into account.
The approach and the pressure comes on the side of Freezer and Laundry. They realize that there's maybe a bit too much work to do on the far opposite end, and in the 3 versus 3 with what's been taken out of you and what's been taken out of them, maybe here's where you can set yourself up on an approach. We've also got to remember where we last saw Leon and Cryin was around on the tower side and the stage itself. So they don't want to risk the fact that they might get caught out by a fight when they know that this is a little bit more of an option. Locked. Gives yourself a straighter run through. Here comes the smoke. There goes the Candela potentially on the back line. No, put back in pocket and waited for Nello to go for the drop. There's the Yokai doing everything to stop the swing. There's the swing round on the back of it. The fight goes into Kanto's favor, blinded, but he already had the reticule lined up. 20 seconds and Siren gets 1 out, but there's no route on a rotate, and that is death. If he opts for the fire, takes the damage and a little bit more death for his trouble. Cannot... Oh, I was going to say, cannot take the push. He does if he goes that way around. Misses the first slip. No health in front of him and behind. We're going all the way, Des.
Is what Tim would say if if they were casting this game currently. Round 15 to decide it all. Both teams currently at 1 point. Both teams are on match point. Who will take a second? Rogue or MnM? It is MnM on their defense again. They do have the advantage based on what we've seen so far today and throughout this game. Can they continue that though? Because just a simple entry frag going the way of Rogue due to a bit of a risky start to a round can just change that all. Throw it all into the bin, as Leon would say. Round 15. Everything to play for. An extra point, which could be so decided at the end of the 9th Playday. There has been plenty of teams who've been missed out by either a single round or by a single point. And as both these teams went to Berlin, both these teams want to make it to the November Major as well. Last round.
Last round.
Top floor.
Last chance saloon. Yeehaw.
Yeehaw.
7-7 Rogue. And MnM, I think, have had that slightly better pace, and they definitely have in from this, the latter half of the defense, something to drive themselves finally over the line. It just takes a second to score. It just takes one kill to define a game and define potentially a round at this point. Next one wins, and here Usus under a start of pressure with Tyrant at the top. His army will give himself a little bit more of a stretch. Tyrant. They have some of this as a chance of a swing round. There's the cover from that window, which gives him this extra wiggle room, but the wiggle room starts to close. He's seeing the pepper fire come through. They're holding on.
There, it's a Candela. I was going to say something is in pocket there, or in hand. It's going to be flying out any second now. Deep Black looking to go aggressive. They know a player's out there, but they need a bit more support from different windows. His Tyrant's still out there, using an extra Kiba barrier to lock it off. That's going to be giving him the opportunity to rotate out.
Well, now he instantly knows the player's on that window, gets himself to the slightly different corner, so the pressure can't come so easily, but he has a hop out. Usus has the cover, gets one. There it is over the top, Neo, but Usus keeps the balance in their favor. There is one more player, and Kanto finally gets it. Solotov is down. It's a technical 2 versus 2, and I think he's in Armory on the far end. Ooh, maybe.
I think he's outside. No,
yeah,
okay.
he's
small tower.
popped back in.
Are they going to chase for it, though? I don't think they actually are aware of it, and as the pickup is happening, there's only one player on the site, but he will find a kill. 1v3, Kanto. Close to the actual site itself, in the attic, looking to move through, has no clue where these players are. 2 of them are rotating back up right now. 1 is on games. Can he do it? Can he clutch it?
Yeah, he didn't know the player was in that position. He's forced them into a slightly different one. The second grenade is going to be more cooked. That's going to bounce its way over and get the destruction onto that. There is the rotate round onto the side of Armory. They have that control locked back in a minute. He gives himself at least an option in a pre-fire, hoping somebody was holding that angle a little bit more delicately, but he also limits the space that he can sort of get himself set up in. They are not moving MnM. It's a 3 versus 1, and they're not going to have a repeat. MnM take the 2 points at the end of a grueling experience.
It's a game of 2 halves, Emmy. It was a 5-1 for Rogue, which turned into a 6-6. Eventually, MnM victorious as they had the defense overtime starting side. With that, they pick up a very deserved 2 points, especially if we look at the second half onwards. They showed incredible resilience against Rogue, making sure they weren't allowed to get into side as a full 5-man team.
It might be one of those results that we talk about at the end of the season. It might be one of those fabled 6-point games. A lot of mights, but we can say that for sure MnM take the 2 points. And for sure, our desk is going to have some fun words about that after a break.